Austin Hayes as Plan B. Let me say that again. Austin Hayes as Plan B. This isn't about Austin Hayes, not about Cody Bellinger either. This is about where we've arrived, about what's become acceptable, about what happens when you spend $400 million in one winter and still end up looking for leftovers in the market because you didn't actually solve anything real. And the worst part, we already know how this story ends. The Mets will offer more. They'll pay an extra year. They'll double down where any normal person would stop. And the Yankees will walk away with Austin Hayes in a press release explaining it was a smart financial decision. Meanwhile, Bellinger will be playing at Citi Field, and we'll be watching Jason Dominguez learn to play defense in April. But there's something nobody's saying, something hidden behind these conversations maintained throughout the winter with Austin Hayes. Why does a team that just signed Max Fried and Paul Goldschmidt still need a plan B for a position that should have been solved in November? Why are we still talking about roster holes when we've already spent like there's no tomorrow? Because this roster was built wrong from the start, and now we're paying the price. You remember when the problem was pitching, when all we needed was to sign an ace and everything would be solved. We signed one, and then we discovered the infield doesn't work, that the outfield has two holes, that DH is an unsolvable puzzle. And now it's January, watching John Heyman write that Austin Hayes is a viable option for a team that wants to compete with the Dodgers. Austin Hayes had a 768 OPS last year. With the Reds in Cincinnati, in a stadium built for hitters, he hit 15 home runs. 15. Aaron Judge hits that in May. But he's fully recovered from injury, the article says. Had a great season in 2025. Great for who? By what standard? Because if the bar for great is now an OPS below 800 points on a team that finished last in the division, then we need to recalibrate our expectations. And look, I'm not saying Austin Hayes is bad. I'm saying he shouldn't be Plan B for a team with the second highest payroll in the league. He should be Plan D, the guy you sign in February when everyone else is gone. The veteran who comes on a one-year deal to provide depth. Not the name that appears in the same sentence as Cody Bellinger. But this is where we've arrived. Because while Steve Cohen opens the checkbook without blinking, we're doing math, trying to justify why it doesn't make sense to give 3 years to a player who just posted an 800 OPS with elite defense, trying to convince ourselves that Jason Dominguez is ready, that Trent Grisham might surprise, that we'll evaluate internally before making any move. Internal evaluation. That phrase should be banned between November and March. And if you're realizing this is bigger than it seems, that there's something wrong with how this team is built year after year, subscribe to the channel, because we won't stop talking about this until someone in the Bronx starts listening. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Cody Bellinger, he's still available, still the best position player on the market, Gold Glove, October experience, versatility to play 3 positions, and yet he's still there, waiting, because nobody wants to be the team that overpays. Nobody wants to be the franchise with regrets in 2028, except the Mets. They don't care about regret, they care about winning now. And that's why we already know how this soap opera ends. Bellinger will sign with them. 3 years, $85 million, maybe 90, with an opt-out clause, and we'll read on Yes Network that the Yankees preferred to maintain financial flexibility for 2027. Flexibility, another word that should be banned. Flexibility is what you have when you don't want to admit you lost. It's what you say when you don't want to explain why you let your crosstown rival take the player you needed. It's the excuse Brian Cashman will use when someone asks why we entered April with an outfield that scares nobody, and then comes Austin Hayes, the consolation that at least we did something. 1 year, $12 million. Incentives for games played. A low-risk bet that solves nothing but doesn't hurt enough to generate outrage. You know what really bothers me about all this? It's not Hayes. It's not even Bellinger. It's that we've seen this movie before. We already know every scene. Every year there's a name. Every year there's a negotiation. Every year we end up with Plan C while the guy we wanted is across town. Remember DJ LeMahieu, we only signed him because the Mets didn't want to pay. Remember Garrett Cole? We only got him because the Angels backed out at the last minute. Remember Carlos Rodon? We overpaid because we waited until everyone else had left the market. That's the pattern. React, never act. Never be first with the aggressive offer. Never dictate the pace. Always waiting, always calculating, always losing. And Austin Hayes is just another chapter. Now tell me something. What changes if we sign Hayes tomorrow? What really changes? Are we better than last year? Maybe, marginally. Is he better than Trent Grisham? Absolutely. But does he solve the problem? Does he transform this team into a real contender? Or does he just patch another hole while we hope nothing else breaks? Because that's what we've become, a team of band-aids, a roster built with duct tape and hope. And every time someone points this out, the answer is the same. We have Aaron Judge, we have Soto, we have enough talent. Enough talent for what? To win 85 games, to fight for a wild card, to lose in the ALDS and say it was a solid season? No, enough talent to win it all, to compete with Houston, with the Dodgers, with anyone who shows up. And if you believe that looking at this roster today, then we're not watching the same team. The Cardinals are also interested, according to John Heyman. St. Louis, a team that just sold everything of value, that's rebuilding. That won't compete for anything before 2028, and still they're in the conversation for Austin Hayes. That tells you everything about the level of this negotiation. So what happens now? We wait. Bellinger signs with the Mets, or with the Cubs again, or with some team nobody expected, and then we turn to Austin Hayes and pretend it was him all along, that we never wanted Bellinger, that this was always the plan. And in April, when he's hitting 230 with 5 home runs in 60 games, someone will say it was bad luck, that he was playing well before getting hurt, that we couldn't have predicted it, but we could predict it because we always predict it, and we never learn. Austin Hayes isn't the problem. He's the symptom of a team that doesn't know what it wants to be, that can't decide if it's rebuilding or competing, if it's spending or saving, if it's going all in or saving money for 2 years from now, and until we decide, we'll keep finishing second in the division, second in negotiations, second in the city. Leave it in the comments. Do you think we should go after Bellinger, or do you prefer Hayes and keeping that flexibility? Because I want to know if I'm the only one who thinks we're making the same mistake again. That's the question nobody wants to ask. But someone needs to